Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Magic the Gathering Arena. Today is Monday, April 6th. We're doing it early. Still not really sure where my sleep schedule is right now, but let's go ahead and re-roll this one. But yeah, I was able to stay awake a little bit earlier today and actually do some pre-recording footage for Curse of Monkey Island. I'm probably about an hour away if I'm lucky from finishing that game. I really went an entire week last week not doing any of that. Let's see, do we have any new sales today? This Arena Sealed Cube experience I don't think is worth doing. In fact, we're in this weird position where 9 days from now, the Ikra expansion seems like that's when we're going to start being able to actually open these packs. And it turns out that these Godzilla skins are actually skins and not indicators of what most Magic people will be playing. Oddly, I already looked at the daily deal in the last 12 hours, so there's like a skin here too for 2,000. Let's see, can we actually see? It's not a sleeve that I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual skins, which seem to not be something that you can even buy anymore. They're under bundles, so do they even have anything here of the new Ikra expansion worth showing off? These are labeled as new and they don't look anything like the Godzilla cards. So as I understand it now, the one that showed Godzilla has a regular Magic the Gathering character, probably somebody you would recognize otherwise. This starts in 3 hours, so we'll do this on Wednesday. Profile wise, we have 24 days to do a draft. I don't think it's really worth doing a Theros Beyond Death draft for 5,000 gold, which I could do and still have 3,000 gold left to buy 30 packs, which is pretty much what I was gonna do. I could play this, and I think we want to do this. Not because I think it's actually going to be worth it. If anything, it's totally not going to be worth it because we need to get at least 4 wins to get 30,000 gold back. If we could get 5 wins, we'd even get 600 gems, which is a considerable amount of gems. But the difference between this and a regular draft is that all the cards are phantom, which means it won't add to our collection in any way, which is not what you generally want in a draft. So Arena Cube, we're going to try this once, but this very possibly is going to be the last thing we ever do. So we're not even simulating the experience of a pack then. Let's see. So they straight up know what cards we're going to have. Apparently we can only have one, and we're looking for a 40 card deck. So let's see. Fable Passage, probably. Field of Ruin, probably. This would be a 1 mana to sacrifice it and put a land in your hand. Is that something we really need? This would make your mana any color, which I have seen this being used as something very useful, but don't know if that's worth it. Here we have a Gilded Lotus. Haven't seen that before. Sacrifice this, add 1 mana of any color or gain life. Let's see, adds 2 mana when you sacrifice it, plus it draws a card. Each artifact creature you control. Alright. So, got that. And then as far as lands, doesn't seem like you've got too much of a choice on lands. Like this would be draw a card for a blue-green. That seems like that's a little bit more of an advantage. Elemental battlefield. Let's see. So this one, if we played an elemental deck, might work. So blue-green with that idea, and then blue-green with that idea. And it's kind of fairly obvious that you can't just do something like this, like cycling. Cycling on this new land is not something that I think would be useful. Don't think that's very useful. Yeah, I think we're supposed to be doing blue-green. On the other hand, we should look at red and just think about, should we play a red game? Because apparently red wins. That's what I keep hearing. You definitely couldn't really do a blue mill deck. So there'd have to be some other strategy here. And I'm not seeing enough of a black deck here to play my strategy, at least. Yeah, I think you've got to play 2 or 3 colors. And I think they want you to play blue-green. Which probably means we have to play green. We have 21 more cards. Enters the battlefield, creates a food token, but doesn't do anything otherwise. This is a slightly expensive 1/1. This would be free. Reveal a creature or land from among them and put it in your hand. The rest goes to the bottom. So this card potentially starts you with one specific card if you're looking for a specific card. But I don't know what that specific card is. Elf creatures. +1/+1. Do we have enough elf creatures? Elf. And then elf. Let's see. It's really not going to get you far enough. See, I'm just looking at cards now, and it is, I guess, forcing me to learn some new things. Let's see. Growth from the ashes. Put into the battlefield and shuffle. If the spell was kicked instead, searcher. How do you kick? Kicker, I guess, is just 2 mana. I don't know how to kick it. You may pay an additional cost. So basically you'd have to pay 5 mana for that. Proliferate. Okay. Also looking for blue. Blue-green. Do we have a blue-green land? We have a red-green. And it really does feel like somebody balanced out these cards and these decisions to make this cube a lot more than they probably needed to. And I really don't feel like I'm going to have a good experience here. Can't be blocked 1/1. It's probably not a terrible idea. Flash and flying 1/1. They could draw cards. Let's see. What are we trying to pull off here, though? I don't know what the trick is. Like, I don't even know if there is a trick. There may not be a trick. Stealing other cards. Is like a late game card. And that's about it. I really don't know how I'm supposed to play this. There's like a lot of cards still missing. A lot of cards. Not lining up, not making sense. There's still 11 cards that we would have to play. Eight cards. Seriously. Seriously, 8 cards. Search your library and graveyard for a creature of converted mana costs of X or less to put on the battlefield and shuffle your library. If X is 10 or more, creature gets +X/+X and haste till the end of the turn. So it'd be a lot of land that you would have to play. That would be a lot of land. It really does feel like there should be a third color in here, which I guess we could think about adding white into the mix. What does white have really to offer? Let's see. Yeah, I don't really want to have to play with 3 different colors though. Man, this is a mess. This is a mess. That's up to 40. And I think we'll try and get rid of some of these more expensive things. Like that, because I don't think we'll play that. Well, coloring me confused. Like, right now, how many artifact creatures do we have? I imagine very little, if none. Yep. Yeah, I really have no idea. I have no idea here. Like, I've probably just made a terrible, sorry for being quiet and actually thinking things through for once. But yeah, I have no idea if that's a good deck. That is ridiculous. That was a ridiculous offering of very few cards, and without me having any kind of basic understanding of those cards and how they synergize, this really comes down to, it seems like they really just gave me a cube of random things, even more than a draft would. And honestly, I don't think any of those cards were specifically so special that they deserved to... I'm gonna go ahead and stick with this, but I kind of think I probably shouldn't. But whatever. We'll stick with it. Yeah, it feels like I was just kind of sold a line there. We're still playing 20 health, 20. We're just playing with 40 cards. And it feels... This is not what I felt like a cube was supposed to be. I thought cubes were supposed to have a lot more logic behind them. Now, Magic does have a new thing. New things on sale, which they seem to have new things on sale every week practically. But they do have some of these pre-made decks that seem like none of them are particularly terrible if you were trying to get into playing paper Magic. So I can't even remember the name of them, but it does seem like they did seem to improve upon their success, or their designs compared to some of the other things. But this does not seem like it. I don't know why this is popping up, but whatever. I mean, I can't do anything with it. If I win here, it's probably going to be by just stupid luck. And so this Scries puts a landmark counter, which apparently has a couple different... it transforms into something and creates a token. There are 3 more landmark counters on it. Remove it and transform into a treasure map. This totally does not feel like a card that was available to me, because I looked at all the cards. So, are different people getting different cubes of different cards? That's kind of ridiculous. But apparently so. Either that or I'm just playing against... If this is the name of an AI programmed by Magic, then they need to rethink their naming scheme, I would argue. Alright, let's go ahead and play that. And let's go ahead and do this. And he's just synergizing with this. And so now we just have this artifact that we could discard a certain number of cards, discard a card and look in the library so if I have nothing in my hand, I guess I could use that. That's probably about as useful as that's going to be. Honestly, I just am going to have to claim ignorance here on this cube and think that what I really would have needed was a 5-minute explanation, probably a YouTube video, of a creator explaining to me why he picked these cards, what decks he thinks these cards would be useful in, or heck, if they were even going to just say, you know what, we picked some random cards, this is just a random selection of cards, so everybody's going to have to deal with that same randomness. Even that might be a little bit more of a happy outcome than. So, can I play this? Yes, I can. Yeah, I don't know why I'm winning as well as I am, but I probably should do something fairly quickly to get rid of this guy. You can see this person did play with 3 colors, and that probably is causing them a little bit of trouble, although on the other hand they are achieving their main goal of... That's quite an animation there. Exile attacking creatures, players control that player. Search the library for that many basic land cards. Put those cards on the battlefield tapped and shuffle in the library. Okay. So take a green, take a blue, take something, whatever. Doesn't really matter. That pumped me up quite a bit. To the point where I've got way more land cards than I probably need. Okay, well, I guess we should just start going through the news. I'm gonna kind of pay attention here, but I did want to mention Tabletop Simulator right now is 50% off at $9.99, which I think is a reasonable price for a Tabletop Simulator. It is worth mentioning that there are lots and lots of bits of DLC that almost no reasonable person would buy all of those expansions, but if you were to try to own them all, you're approaching $300, it looks like. Yeah, $291.59 for all the DLC. But in all reasonableness, you probably would only buy a few of the $10 DLCs. I'm not sure you even really need that much. It is still fair to say Tabletop Simulator really isn't that discounted, and there definitely have been quite a few other games that have shown up on Slick Deals, particularly as being free, some of which were good and I've added to my Steam account, some of which were rated very badly and I saw no point in adding them to my account. But yeah, we're getting little bits here and there. Let's see. So cast with kicker. Let's see how this works. This is going to sacrifice it and draw activated ability. Let's see. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life. Will this destroy Target non-basic land. I should have used it on this card earlier, but whatever. Okay, green, blue. Do I have an enchantment to discard? Yes. I have just such a large amount of things. Gain control of a target permanent. Oh, well, I guess that will synergize weirdly with that fairly well. I'll just still the Fountain of Renewal. Let's keep on passing. Alright, so play that. Steal that. Put it on my side. He sacrifices it. Now, if you control 3 or more permanents you don't own, draw 3 cards. Odds of that happening are not great. Is this an artifact? Yes, it is. So that makes that a 5/5. Go ahead and play that. And let's see how this works. We don't really have a lot of news, even though I have some games left over from Friday. Not a lot has been happening, certainly over the weekend, and one would not expect too much to happen over the weekend. And since we are streaming early this morning, trying to get that early crowd, we very possibly later today will get some bigger piece of news. Let's see. Proliferate, not doing anything. And apparently this one can't activate its own abilities now. So now this guy has to leave to return this back to the field. And this would have been a great point to use the counter spell if I had it. But I don't, so then we'll just attack with that one. I don't believe I can even use this ability anymore. So a 7 mana card to steal a card to get a 2/3. It's kind of pathetic. Alright. Discard a card, look at the top X number of cards. How many can that be? Let's go with 7. I think 7 would work. Then we'll discard that card. And choose a creature of that to put on the field. That probably was not worth doing. But it is an interesting card, to say the least, to search your deck and find specific cards that are useful. But I don't think this is going to save me by any means. Alright, 6, 10. And I think I can literally do 11 mana there. And what in the world does this add to anything? It really doesn't add anything at all. I should have been playing this a lot earlier. Well, at this point I'm pretty hopeless. So I don't think there's much saving me here. I can either take a bunch of hits or... And this guy probably has vigilance, so he's just gonna keep on hitting me. This is a spell first spell you cast this game, you may cast it without paying it. Look at the top 5 cards in your library. You may reveal creature and land from among them and put them in your hand. So I've just got all of these cards that are just draw. Just draw, draw, and more draw. And apparently I can now put things in order as far as the bottom of the deck. See, this would been the one card. Like, if I could have done that, that would have worked very well. So how do we activate that? Apparently we can activate that ability and create a green elf warrior. How many cards does this guy have? He has like 20. I might have a win scenario here. Because this says whenever you draw a card, each opponent puts the top 2 cards of the library in the graveyard. Now he just destroyed that. You just destroyed that concept. Yeah, there are strategies here. It's just I did not see them until I started playing, which really meant I needed a practice experience. I could reduce somebody, I guess. Reduce that guy to 0. And then attack with this, 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 and this. I mean, we might as well just attack with everything. Let's see. And then this would give +2/+2 to something, so might as well buff up the weakest person. And then this could destroy an ability to play some mana. And then draw basic land. Put it on the field. I have considerably less cards than he does now. So that may have cleaned some things up a little bit. Probably not a lot. at this point, I think I could probably put everything on the field that's left in my deck, and I'm just gonna lose. Yeah, he's just gonna wreck me. So is there room for reconsideration? Can we change our deck in any way? Apparently we can. Alright. Let's see. Draw cards. Do that. Do that. And then that. Okay. So now what we're thinking about is drawing cards. So that's probably not needed. And that's probably not needed. So we want Psychic Corrosion. And you can only have one of anything. Okay, good to know. That's probably not needed. And we could probably get rid of something like this. But maybe not. So we want Once Upon a Time in the first option. This might have been a useful card. Counterspell for 2 mana. Draw a card. Let's just get rid of this counter spell because I don't think that's that useful. Now, that was loss number 1, and pretty much it seems like unless we get super lucky, this is where it's gonna go, is that we'll just have 5 losses. It is nice that you can rebuild your deck and try again, but that's not really gonna work. I need this card though. I need this way better than I need Once Upon a Time. So, and I think Once Upon a Time would probably just be used to get Psychic Corrosion. So yeah, unless I get really lucky here, probably not gonna get that 600 gems. And yeah, a bunch of people are gonna... Let's not play that yet. Like, it's so important to get this one card to work. It makes this one card way too valuable with no backup plans. But yeah, if I can put this on the field, then this on the field, then play spells. When you cast your first spell during your opponent's turn, This would be an instant thing. That would be great. So put that on the field, put that on the field. Please don't counter it. This guy can't be blocked. So it won't even matter that I play this. This is a mill deck. We have worked our way into a mill deck unintentionally. The question is, return instant card from your graveyard to your hand. Return target sorcery from your graveyard to your hand until the end. For your turn, you can cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose a new target for that copy. Interesting. Alright, so let's go ahead and play this. And we really can't play either one of these. This ability still works though. Could play this, but I'm not sure that that would work then, so we're just gonna end our turn. And we don't want to make any sound. This is the first spell during your opponent's turn. Put a land on the battlefield, yes. So that's got him down to 20 compared to 26 already. However, I'm at 12, so let's be careful here. Sorcery. Agents of Treachery. Is there something else I want to... Instant and sorceries cost one less to cast. That would be a nice card to take. There we go. But he still can do like 4 damage to me, so not in a good position. What's our best option? To do this? That was an instant. I should have done that during my opponent's turn. Two basic lands or one basic land. Let's go ahead and guess we gotta attack with these two.
My presence alone will guide you towards...
How do you get a planeswalker? This is so ridiculous.
Your past is unwritten.
If I could do 8 damage, that would be nice. But I don't think that's gonna happen. No card to choose. Let's go with a green. And another green. And this is not something I want to play this turn. And yeah, I've just lost. Like, again. There's nothing here that would have saved me from basically an unblockable card and a flying card. As weird as and simplistic as that is. And I got him down to 7. So there was some progress there, but not enough. Because I'm trying to make a mill deck. Is there anything we can do before we just immediately run headfirst into a third loss? I didn't get around to playing that. I've had this like twice and that hasn't helped. Probably don't need Fable Passage at all. Let's see if maybe we can replace that with something else. The whole thing seems backwards. Really, it really does. Because you have somebody who really knows Magic, you assume, making cubes. And then giving them to people who don't know what's in the cubes. So, as far as a sealed cube, I guess maybe there are unsealed cubes out there as a concept, and maybe that would be a idea too. I'm just gonna mulligan until we get something of interest. But yeah, the fact that I don't know what cards are going to be in a sealed cube totally makes it feel kind of impossible to figure out what to do in a reasonable amount of time. So I'm feeling like if you were playing Paper Magic and you were doing a sealed cube and you had all these cards, you would want to spend at least an hour researching and building and deck building, just sitting there in silence, maybe Googling on your phone what cards would make a good deck, instead of just jumping into the game or either knowing what you're doing. You'd almost have to do the drawing phase and the drafting phase of a sealed cube on a different day, just so that you just so you have enough time to think about what you're building. Otherwise, this might as well just be random. It really might as well. And I imagine Magic would really suck if you just were dealt out randomly random cards that totally didn't work. That might be funny for one game, but since Magic games take so long, it's not really funny for the long haul. And with that, I just lost the game. Pretty much. Like, my only hope is that something else would happen here and I could destroy that card. Otherwise, I guess maybe I needed to have waited. Let's see. Yeah, so as we're on the verge of losing here, pretty much I hate sealed cubes. I totally hate them. He's just going to pick whichever card he thinks is the best, and he's going to shoot it off, which is probably that one. He's going to discard it. And there's no recovery from cards being discarded, really. And I can't really counter this. So, yep, we're doomed. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Iron Blood VR, which, let's just start covering the news. Looks like it is a first-person shooter VR game. It's been on my following list, and apparently now it's out of early access or something for $19.99, which seems somewhat good. It's online player versus player, which that's a high cost, $20 for every player in the player base, plus a VR headset, so that's a lot of money. I can play that. And I can attack. I don't know if there's any actual value in attacking this planeswalker. So the fact that that game was online player versus player is actually taking it from the follow list because it shouldn't have been on the follow list. I'm not going to play a PvP game in VR or outside of VR. We probably aren't going to have too many just regular ranked games today. The good news is after nearly a week of barely doing any streaming or anything, my back does seem like it's improved quite a lot. Although, in all fairness, I think my chair does make it way worse. Like, my chair is just awful. And I'm still probably need to take it easy for like a month. In all fairness, it's like, but I probably will finish Curse of Monkey Island, and then I need to desperately schedule things and label things, and so I should be able to do that. I'm literally running out of other things to do, and still pretty bored, as most people are. Let's see. I watched I believe, if I was to guess, Portuguese movie called The Ledge on Netflix, which I enjoyed quite a bit and would recommend everybody watch it. It's, generally speaking, a prison where there's a whole bunch of levels of the prison, and food once a day is lowered down on a table by wires through a rectangular hole in the center of each prison level. So everybody has to eat the table scraps effectively of the person above, the people above them, not just the one person, but the many people above them. And it's a interesting, like, allegory story to watch and see.
You know what?
Arguably, without getting into any spoilers, I will say it probably doesn't say anything that isn't fairly obvious or simplistic in its ideas, but it shows the concepts of inequality quite nicely, without just being obtuse about it and obvious. So yeah, I'd say check that out. I don't know if I even watched anything else really of any mention. Like, what I've mostly been doing is sleeping for the past 2 or 3 days. It's just a lot of waking up and then going to sleep again. And very little in between. It is also, I suppose, fair to say that none of these guys who've beaten me have really beaten me with any amazing concept. They seem to me to basically be doing the same thing, just playing random cards and outplaying me because I picked the 2 cards combination that probably was the worst option. Next we have a game on Steam called Trusty Brothers, which looks like it is...
Let's skip to the good part.
kind of a Unity platform, not platformer, but just like... I mean, I guess you might call it a roguelike or a box puzzle pushing game. It looks very asset flippy, and it doesn't seem to have much of a gameplay mechanic. Dungeon crawler might be another description, or very limited RPG. It's by an Asian title here for $4.49, and it requires co-op. It's English and Chinese, and I guess that explains why I'm having a trouble describing it, because it is really just a mixture of a concept and some art that doesn't really make sense. Right. X is your devotion to blue. Let's go ahead and play this and see how this works. So we have an 8/8 with hexproof. And this actually can't be blocked, so I might as well be attacking with it. Trusty Brothers obviously not making it to the fall list. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually don't see anything come out on the fall list this week, over the weekend. I didn't even curate. Maybe I curated a few games at the end of the Friday stream, but I really didn't come back and curate much at all, because there was only about 10 games left over, and I don't think we're gonna really have any problem getting through all the news, as long as I even have a moderate pace. Let's see, while this guy's deciding to play, we have a game called Spelunking the Mind Match, which is a match 3 Candy Crush game underground in what looks like a world that kind of expands. So they are doing something slightly different, and while it's unlikely I'd want to play a match 3 game, I'm gonna put this on the fall list. $7.99, English full audio. I kind of question that. The idea of a match 3 turning into an actual mining game and expanding the world and the map might be interesting. It also might be incredibly boring though, because it might just be the equivalent of mining in Minecraft with none of the interesting parts of Minecraft. Speaking of Minecraft, a Harry Potter Java map has come out, and I probably won't play it anytime soon, but it is amazing. It is also very late to the party as far as Harry Potter fandom is concerned, but it does definitely look like it's doing some amazingly different things than what you would expect from a standard Minecraft map. See, so this card, Once Upon a Time, is now pretty useless. Actually, it was probably pretty useless anyways, because it was only about revealing a creature. So So actually, I don't think there was anything here. And this one, since this is a token, doesn't have any mana things. So devotion to blue. Let's see. Opponent gets -1/-1 for your devotion to blue. Or minus something X. So so I'm gonna just go ahead and attack with these. This might win the game for me. This 8/8 with hexproof might prove particularly difficult to kill, but I wouldn't be surprised if he finds some way to get around it. See, this is no maximum hand, so he could have an infinite amount of cards if he wanted. So that 8/8 was just defeated by a creature that had Death Touch. Guess I should have paid better attention there. Turn a creature you control. Needs aura. Is this a creature? No. So I could return this. And that's about it. Moving on, we have a game. Oh, I'm supposed to be resolving, sorry. Whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent.
I suppose that's how it was meant to happen.
So he's just gonna draw a bunch of cards and destroy everything. Just gonna auto pass here. Next we have a game here called Hobo Living VR. This isn't a game I could particularly say is somebody's job, although you could almost make that argument. But it is also just like a bummer idea to play as a homeless person, which is what they really mean. They don't mean a homeward bound migrant worker, which is what the original definition of hobos was. Nor does this look like it's done with any kind of tact or telling a particularly interesting story. It's early access, $5.99. Again, too cheap for VR. All of a sudden, we've seen a lot of $5.99 VR games, English full audio. But yeah, you almost need a homeless person in a larger story. Not limited. There's literally nothing I can do here. Because he destroyed enough of my characters. Like, he destroyed enough of my permanent lands that I could return this. This guy has 18 cards, I have 17 cards. I don't even have enough permanent lands to cast that. So yeah, we're gonna lose.
Hardly my worst defeat.
Brought up his planeswalker back to him.
You can win. Hold that thought.
I don't know if he's specifically just
you're up for round 2.
trying to rub it in at this point or what. Let's see. So apparently if you have the shield shaped frame, that's a permanent emblem, where if you have a square, that's just an ability that you have to remember. And this guy just screws up terribly and draws 11 cards.
I really should have seen that coming. This is hardly my worst defeat. Now what? It's only a matter of time. We will meet again.
This guy is just playing a different audio trigger each time. I very well may have won with this. Like, had this been on the field. But that didn't happen. Okay, so I hate Arena Cube Sealed. Pretty obviously. 0 wins got me 3 uncommon cards at least. And generally, just having such a terrible experience. I mean, you cannot get worse than that. That was just absolute garbage experience. And those, they didn't ask me to thumbs down that at all. But having such a bad experience does not help my general appreciation of Magic, which isn't particularly high anyways. So we've got a card here that's from, we'll have to look up what that logo is. This is Core 19, which is about to be banned from Standard. This is very possibly something that's not going to be playable. And this is very possibly something that's not going to be playable. Yeah. A new kind of limited experience. It sucks. And apparently it doesn't even count towards your limited rank. So that was a waste of money also. And I really don't even have enough to play a draft now. So we're going to have to get daily quests before I can even think about that. So here's the 3 cards again. We know what Core 19 is. I think the scales I've seen is, so it's the star one I'm most confused about. Galaxian. So the oldest possible expansion, and then Rivals of Galaxian, the second oldest possible expansion, and then Core Set 2019. So none of those cards are really useful at all. They're all about to leave Standard. They're all about to lose nearly 100% of their value and usability in Magic Arena. That is just bad. Let's try Standard Ranked. Actually, we need to play red and green spells, and I don't even have a way of doing that. Let's play one ranked game, and then we'll play just regular play with red deck, I guess. Magic, a individual Magic game is too long to have a bad, a just downright awful experience. So when you do something like that where it's 3 losses and you just lose 3 times in a row, that was probably an hour. Yeah, an hour of just not having fun at all. If I had, well, personally, it'd be a real weird situation if I was to ever go to a game shop and play Magic, Paper Magic. But if, in theory, that I was in that situation, I probably would have gotten up and left and just been like, yeah, I'm done. You know, I could have tried to be nicer about it and not get up and leave, but I would have. I've been like, I'm done with Magic for tonight. After that beatdown, uh, that was not fun. I mean, you I don't know how to put it any other way. It's just not fun to not understand what the cards are, to not be given any kind of direction or help there, to then just lose the cards that seemingly were not under the same restrictions as I was, because the cards offered to me seemed to be way worse than what some of the other players were playing, or at least way different, if not worse. Now I'm fine with this experience. When you're buying packs, you have the cards, you know what cards you have, you can think about the deck and draft a deck to your own heart's desire. Although, in all fairness, Magic demands so much of your time that I really haven't been able to build the decks that I should have been able to build, and we're gonna see a fairly quick drop down to just using something like Draft Sim to decide what decks I should play and how to build those decks. As soon as you can tell Draft Sim what cards are in your hand, that'll be the end of it. Or what cards are in your collection. Do I want to save that? I think I kind of do. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Shopkeeper's Tale, which is a dungeon RPG game that's rather zoomed in, which makes me kind of feel like this is probably something that was designed for a cell phone, because that camera angle is really zoomed in. Now the art looks somewhat good, so I wouldn't be surprised if this is a Japanese cell phone game that's just being ported. We seem to be seeing more and more of that, but it does seem like it is just kind of a roguelike. That's the phrase I was looking for. I really don't see anything other special about this. And we've seen multiple games where you're a fantasy shopkeeper going into dungeons to get things to sell. $7.99, English only on the language. And it's early access, which, again, this really isn't the kind of game that deserves to be to use early access, in my opinion. Let's see. Next, we have a game on Steam called Clown Nightmare Satan's Joke, which is an asset flip first-person shooter. It almost has a feeling of one of the on-rails light gun shooter games. There definitely was a on-rails light gun game where you're shooting clowns in a circus and zombie monsters. I can't remember the name of it, but it was fairly popular. This, on the other hand, looks like garbage. It's $2.99 English full audio. And of course not going to make it to the fall list. You almost have a danger of having clowns in games, more than it's worth having clowns in the games. Nobody has like a subconscious phobia of zombies compared to the people that have phobia of clowns, and I kind of question what relation, if any, newer generations have with clowns, considering as nobody really in the right mind is going to have a clown show up at a birthday party or anything like that. Let's go ahead and attack with this. Yes, and this. So I wouldn't be surprised if newer generations have only seen clowns in a few scary movies like Stephen King's It, and that's it. And that might be the only reference they even have there. whereas older generations there were at least a few clowns around that were actually trying to not be creepy serial killers. But I wouldn't be surprised if people continue to have phobias around clowns for many generations going forward, even if they've well fallen out of popular reference or popular context. But I would hate to say that you can't have a clown in a game. You probably should just have like one or two, not all your game, and certainly it shouldn't be an asset flip first person shooter. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Hackathon, which just looks like pixel graphics, like platform shooting game. It looks a little bit too much like MS Paint level graphics, unfortunately, for me to give it the time of day. $7.49 discounted English only. And this guy is not playing, so we are going to potentially pull off a victory here just because he's gonna not play. There was a apparent bug with OpenWRT, the Open Wireless Router firmware stuff that arguably you don't really need to install these days, but it still gives you some features. OpenWRT, I believe, is the code base for DDWRT, or maybe they even changed their name and they're just called OpenWRT now. And that's what's on my router, so I decided to update my router with no apparent problems, which is always nice, because there always is that small chance you'll install the latest beta, since they don't really offer anything but betas. Either you know that you're going into risky territory installing them, or you shouldn't install the firmware. But also it didn't really add any new features or anything, at least not on the main user interface or anything like that, because really wouldn't expect it to. But there are some new features, but nothing is set in stone yet as far as the DNS over HTTPS or DNS over TLS debate, which is the next debate that I think is most important right now. As far as wireless routing technology. And heck, I might even start feeling good enough to get back to working on some other projects and trying to fix my server, which is perpetually broken. But probably should spend some more time on my YouTube channel. I've noticed quite a few YouTube channels that have mentioned that they'll say like, I got 1,000 subscribers, and I look at their video and it's a year old and now they have like 120,000 subscribers. They've just had way more momentum than what my channel ever had, and it's just like, yeah, this sucks. So I don't know. Probably is the quality of my content and the fact that I'm just a YouTube gamer, video game critic, and that has a lack of interest compared to other content, but it definitely getting me down a little bit to see other people succeed so well, or get lucky. But of course, I'm only seeing the successes. I'm not seeing the millions of other YouTube content creators who made like 5 videos and then gave up immediately after that. So we needed to play red cards, so we're gonna play this red deck, which is not a terrible terrible red deck, but it's not something that's polished enough, I think, to be a full red deck. I guess when the new expansion comes out, we will just have to buy a bunch of cards and mix those new cards in with the old cards and kind of just see what happens. And see if we can maybe make a new deck between the two. New deck that's actually useful. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article, Mafia 2 Definitive Edition and SNK Gal Fighters for Switch has been rated in Korea. SNK Gal Fighters is not the latest game of the SNK girls fighting, because they made another game that was kind of inspired by this, whereas in SNK Gal Fighters is like an early 90s spin-off game. I would not be surprised if this does not make it to the West and the United States on Switch, although in all fairness I also wouldn't be surprised if it did. Because it could be a scenario where this is gonna be weird, but we'll do it this way. It could be a scenario where the SNK Gal Fighters is available digitally, and I don't think Nintendo cares what goes on their eShop, as long as it's not like rated M for mature, and even then I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised if there already is an M for mature, or even there probably isn't an adults only game. That would probably be the line they'd draw. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of M for mature games on the Switch already. And pretty much it has to be, doesn't there? Because some of the AAA games are M for mature. Okay. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Limited Run Games is celebrating 1 million orders. Which, okay, really nothing super surprising on that. If anything, it's kind of a very low number. Because Limited Run Games has put out, I would imagine, at least 50 games, and if they're saying they've only gotten 1 million orders out of 50 games that were more niche games, and people knew were going to be more niche games, that's really just showing how niche in particular these products were. Spectate on that. There we go. And then just attack with everything and win. Feels like the game is just trying to be nice to me at this point and giving me victories. So there we've got a new instant card. And yeah, we're at rank 99. We need to play 9 more red cards, and then we're just going to play ranked for the rest of the day, which really won't even be that long. TechRaptor has an article here, Round Guard review. Haven't heard of this game, Round Guard. It, I guess, looks kind of like a Peggle clone, or maybe a Zumba clone, or Zuma. They give it a 6.5. Red Guard's genre innovations are novel, but they fail to distract from poor roguelike progression and general lack of depth. It's whimsical, arcadey diversion, but not much more than that. Here's the pros, here's the cons. If you're interested, I'm not going to bother to read them. So yeah, a game I haven't heard of, not reviewed very well by TechRaptor. No huge surprise there. Although, with the current state of video games, we might start to see quite a lot more hyping up of smaller and smaller games as people are just struggling to have content to publish and to maintain their jobs. Video game critics in particular tend to be independent contractors, although again, if you're assigned a deadline and assigned work, then you probably might not be an independent contractor, but they tend not to get paid much anyway. So if they could get that sweet government cheese, as it were, and just file for unemployment instead of being a video game writer, reviewer, I think half of them would take it. It seems to be in their actions and attitudes very often the case that people who are writing about video games have no actual liking of video games in the first place. So they may very well be perfectly happy to take a break. On the other hand, if you were really committed to being a video game critic and playing games and reviewing them, having extra time would be a blessing in disguise. There's plenty of games you could go and play that are slightly older and review a second time, or play just for your own entertainment. Okay, what does this do? Counter attack or block. So my entire strategy here is ruined. So I'll just kind of wait. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article, the Doom 64 Rewind review, which Doom 64 seems like it is just such a large improvement over other ports of Doom and such a big change that it kind of makes sense that Doom 64 is getting re-released, whereas like the Jaguar port of Doom or the Game Boy port of Doom aren't really relevant enough to be justified to get re-released. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Bethesda.net does just start to re-release everything, like every single port they can get their hands on, and kind of quickly and easily report and sell to you again. Bethesda is kind of rather quickly becoming like, well, Bethesda, in that they sold Skyrim over and over again at this point. Alright, this sucks, but I don't think I have any other choice. We need to get that off the field. And activate this ability to remove task counters. TechRaptor has an article here. Atari Casino is coming soon using cryptocurrency. I would argue it very well may not be coming soon using cryptocurrency, because the company that owns the name Atari now seems to be kind of constantly getting in trouble with other companies, or getting into legal fights, or just being incompetent in general, which is not useful enough. I don't know if useful is the right term there, but it is a mess. Certainly every time I hear any bits of news with Atari. I've actually put some extra thought into potentially building that blacklist that that I probably need to make of just old games that or companies that have done something incredibly offensive and I shouldn't support them because of this or that, or I generally wouldn't want to support them. Let's see. Artifacts. Are any of these artifacts? No. This is an artifact. Nope, that's an enchantment. So this card is useless. Gain control of a creature. This would have been a great card to say. This would have been an interesting card to say, "Are you sure about?" Because there's really no reason why I should need to take control of my own creature, and I don't think I'm gonna take control of it in the sense that I can now attack with it. So that was pointless. Whereas if I had just taken control of this 1/1 with lifelink, I would have gotten more use out of that. TechRaptor has an article here. VCS console designer is suing Atari over the breach of contract. So I wasn't just making up what I was just saying. It's like the entire Atari brand wasn't worth much in the first place, and the company that bought them seems to be doing even worse with it. Speaking of Bethesda, there's a offering, or if you bought Fallout 76 on the Bethesda.net account, where they'd give you a free copy on Steam, as if you need 2 places to not play that game. Seriously. My own card did that. My own freaking card did that. And these are enchantments, not artifacts. So there's nothing I can do here. Square Enix said they won't release Final Fantasy VII Remaster Remake early digitally, and then they put out a link to a FAQ things saying why, which no reason to even look up at their answer, because we know the reason is that they have contractual obligations, or at least a general desire to not release the digital version earlier than the physical versions, and they can't really release the physical versions to most stores because most video game stores are not even open at the moment. And so, yeah. If anything, that might be more of just a Japanese old school, we're going to do it the way we've always done it mentality than actual contractual obligations. Because I imagine you could make the argument that we shipped it to the stores, but maybe they can't actually ship it to the stores because they don't have people in the position to actually develop the CD-ROMs or the Blu-rays. Jeez. Yeah, Blu-rays have been around for a long time. It's kind of crazy I still am using the phrase CD-ROMs. Well, I've played all the cards I need to, but I'd actually like to win here too. Next we have a game on Steam called Soul Hell, Hel, the Nordic Hell. Looks like it probably is a position-based Nordic Viking type game, but it doesn't look particularly good. It's $12.74 discounted, English only. Yeah, nothing there that deserves to be on the follow list. There's some talk of a Cooking Mama game that showed up on the Nintendo Switch eShop and then disappeared. I haven't sat through that whole story to figure out if there's anything more to report there. But I wouldn't be surprised if something was teased or released early, or they lost the license somehow at the last second. We have a game on Steam called Let's Cook Together, which looks very much like just a clone of Cook Serve Delicious, and it does not look any better or more interesting than Cook Serve Delicious. It's early access for $11.04 discounted, English and Polish, and it's shared split screen only. I'm gonna take a bathroom break, and so I'm gonna go ahead and just concede, and then we'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry for that taking so long. I don't know if I want to play one more game or not. Darn it, like one more green, red card. I was one short. And then I think that might just be the end of today's stream. And I was gonna think we were gonna probably go pretty short anyways, but I really don't have a lot of news here. And we'll probably end up going longer Wednesday. So we have a game here called All Over that looks like it's an RPG game, not actually using RPG Maker. Almost looks like a Zelda game, which has that slightly different feel to it. So it's early access, $8.99, English only, third party EULA. I'm going to put this on the fault list because it feels a little bit more polished than your standard RPG game. And then let's see. Gamatsu has ReZero Starting Life in Another World adventure RPG for iOS and Android. It has now been subtitled Lost in Memories, due out 2020 in Japan. I haven't even watched the ReZero anime series, so I don't know anything about it. Yeah, let's try and win. It's kind of pointless to play a game and not try to get victories, even though the victories don't really matter. And let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called VERZ, which looks like a VR asset flip game. Yep. Early access, $9.79 discounted, single player. Yep, VR, English full audio. Again, every time I say full audio, I should really just train myself to stop saying full audio, and we'll just start calling the languages on the languages, because the information is kind of useless because it's not particularly valid. As it were. Let's see. 2 damage to any creature, or 1 damage to any creature. We'll start with that. Next, Gamatsu has Ishu ni Asobo Kopen-chan has been announced for Switch, due out this summer in Japan. I don't think I pronounced that anywhere close. This looks like one of those very early childhood contents. Yeah, looks like very much a kid's game. Little cutesy characters and such. And always worth mentioning, this is what kids content is. This is kids animation in Japan. Something along this line. The vast majority of what we see in the West, anime, anything you generally call anime, is either a prime time or late night content, much more closer to a Rick and Morty Toonami type content, meant for adults, even if it often does look like the characters are cutier than you would think. Or 3 damage to any target. We can do that to kill that. And we can do that to do that. And then we can attack here. Gamatsu has an article, Hatsune Miku, Project Diva, Mega Mix DLC, additional mix pack, 4th and 5th launch, April 13th in Japan, so more Hatsune Miku DLC. There is this game called Citrus, Cytrus, I believe, that gives itself away for free on Android and iOS. And it seems like that would be a good offering as a music rhythm game. And every time I get suckered into it, but it's not really worth the time of day because there's so much DLC and you have to pay for so much of the music in it that even though the base game is given away for free, often as a self-promotion attempt more than anything else, the base game only includes maybe 12 songs, and the rhythm part of the game I definitely don't like, so that's another problem that maybe it's more of a personal problem for me, as I have no rhythm and have no real major interest in rhythm games. But it is really hard to play it, and I've tried to play it 2 or 3 times because I've gotten it for free and installed it because it was being promoted, and then realized it was the same game and then gone back. Also, I would say Citrus is super annoying because when you first install it, it shows you about a 4-minute animated cutscene before you can do anything. Then it makes you play a tutorial that you can easily struggle with, and so you can have a pretty bad experience onboarding into it. Also, you can't play the game one-handed, so there's kind of no accessibility there. Like, sometimes I just like to hold my phone with one hand and then tap all the buttons necessary with the other hand. You can't do that at all. You have to press some buttons. Creature or planeswalker? And 6. Can we do 6? No. 5? Attack. Attack with that one. Then attack with that one, and then that one, and that one. We'll just attack with everything. Let's see. Gamma Sutra has an article. There's a report. COVID-19 could delay Amazon's cloud-based gaming platform. I believe this report has already been talked about. So, frankly, at this point, COVID-19 could delay anything and everything. So, that really isn't big, important bits of information. The Godot engine, which is a kind of up-and-coming middleware engine, sort of like the Unity engine, has a C#, that's what the number sign means there, progress report for iOS and signals as events. So we might start to see fewer people using Unity and more people using the Godot engine. I wouldn't be super surprised, though, if that definitely didn't happen. Also, we kind of need more than even a competitor to the Unity engine. We need a competitor to the Unreal engine that has some actual success there. And unfortunately, the Source engine, Valve's engine, is not really going to cut it. The Crysis engine is not really going to cut it. And I can't even think of another potential competitor. Let's see, deal 3 damage to any target, scry. Let's see. Let's go ahead and attack. And then we'll see what they want to do. So all I should need is a few more bits of damage. Next we have on Steam Great Adventure in the World of Sky, which is not only a low effort name, but by the looks of this is clearly just a Minecraft clone, a low effort Minecraft clone for $8.99, which is English and Chinese. I would argue that we probably have had even a slowdown on Chinese games that have come out in the past couple of weeks. And that shouldn't really be a surprise to too many people. So he blocks that, I attack with that. I really just need one more damage and I'll win. Next we have a game on Steam called Box Nation, which looks like a low effort box. I don't even know what it is, but it looks like garbage as a Unity game. Early access for $4.79 discounted. Bunch of language support. What's funny is we're gonna probably end up not even having anything new to say as far as new bits of news. This and this. So if he blocks this, he's lost. And if he had blocked that, he would have lost. So that was that. We made it to rank 100 and we get another one of those. Although, in all fairness, I don't know if I didn't already have 4 copies of that. No, I only had 2. So we are just filling in our collection. It would be nice if there was a way to sort like between whether you have 4 full copies of something or not. That would be a nice keyword for them to throw in. I'm gonna just play one game here probably, and then that'll be the end of today's stream. I don't want to push myself too hard because, you know, sitting up in my chair in particular is the thing that could be hurting my back and hips more than anything else. Moving on, Gamatsu has an article. E3 2021 is set for June 15th through the 17th. Which, okay. June seems to be kind of late. Like May, or like April, January, February, March, April, June. Seems like that's a month off at least from what E3 should have been this year. But doesn't kind of matter because whatever happens in E3 2021, if it even occurs, is going to be such an incredibly smaller and less relevant event than what it probably would have been had 2020 not been canceled. This almost certainly is the death of E3 as it once was, and that's what people were hoping for. A lot of people were hoping for, at least. I probably shouldn't attack right now, but I'm probably fine anyways. Let's see. OpenCritic has an article over here. Microsoft announces ID at Xbox Spotlight video series. This is pretty much just how they're going to show off all the content that they were going to show off at E3. Let's see, video 1 here is just a bunch of videos, and instead of actually watching all these videos, it might just be easier to look at the list here. So, Adios and Airport for Aliens, currently run by dogs, Bonkies, Spiritfarer, Haven, and West of Dead. Apparently this is all one title of one game. And then the next one is going to include a game called The Molasses Flood, Skater XL, and Moving Out, which, yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's 4 or 5 different little clip series, which probably would have been the exact same videos that would have played had E3 happened on their stage show. And like the E3 presentations, they are really just going to be hype for games you really don't know anything about, and they're not coming out anytime particularly soon, when there's definitely more recent or better options to be hyped about games that are actually coming out in a reasonable amount of time. I don't know what the right way to phrase that is, actually. Let's see, do I want to attack this? I think it matters. Open Critic has an article here. Jill Valentine is coming to Resident Evil Resistance later this month, which I've heard that trying to play Resident Evil Resistance as the mastermind is incredibly impossible, because there's just such a high demand that you can't ever get into a game. I've also heard some people complaining about Jill Valentine wearing a skirt that has is really more like shorts. It's kind of like shorts in the back and a skirt in the front is generally how a skirt actually is described. I think really, if I think about the image, that this is not the image. Here she's wearing straight up pants, but I think the image I saw might fall closer to she's wearing just spats or a leggings or shorts under a skirt. I don't think there's a lot of realistic complaints there, though. Like, it is a change for just, you know, modern sentimentalities and SJW reasons, but it is also kind of just this benevolent sexism that somebody couldn't be wearing a skirt, or females can't wear skirts in a zombie apocalypse, or your character can't be a strong, empowered woman wearing a skirt, which is all very silly. Whatever mentality you have around that, it is really just changing things for no good reason, and then opening that Pandora's box that people are going to complain about. Right. I think we probably are done here. Let's see, Xbox Wire. They have this thing where you can donate points to the CDC Foundation. I don't know if that means gamer score points or something else. No, it's reward. So doing the Microsoft Rewards thing, which never really gave you a lot of options or much of a rewards in the first place for filling out surveys and using Bing and things like that. Apparently now you can give that to the CDC so that Microsoft can use that as a tax write-off. I wouldn't really recommend anybody waste their time on Microsoft Rewards. There's probably better ways to make money filling out surveys just through other survey sites. If you're that desperate, honestly, none of that's really worth your time. If you can get employment or income in any other form. Alright, let's do this. Got 19. We need this to keep going. Darn it. That did not work. That did not work at all. Let's see. Komatsu has an article. IGN announces Summer of Gaming digital event for early June, featuring news, previews, developer interviews, and more. This clearly is just IGN's E3 coverage, although it seems like they may have scooped up some announcements and videos and things that probably wouldn't have been IGN run. Interesting that it's being run by IGN instead of the PC Gamer, but maybe PC Gamer is not in any position to be able to pay for exclusives. Speaking of mainstream video game media, Laura Kate Dale has apparently shifted positions once again. I think she might just very much bounce between writing for one company and the other, as much as it seems like that's the case for a lot of people. But she apparently now works in some way for Polygon, and some kind of controversy around her popped up. It's her coverage at this point seems completely irrelevant to me, and the only reason I even know she exists is because she's on the Podquisition with Jim Sterling. And at this point, even listening to the Podquisition with Jim Sterling is not really a worthwhile use of my time. Let's see. The participating companies are 2K Games, Amazon, Bandai Namco, Devolver Digital, Google, Sega, Square Enix, THQ Nordic, Twitter, and more. So does seem like IGN has got a nice lineup there, and yeah, it didn't seem like I made it up in the rank. I don't think I'll probably even play ranked. Like, honestly, we may not even bother playing ranked much this month. I may just try to leave it at silver tier 4 until I can figure out something, because I just don't have enough attention span, even off screen, to want to play ranked. So yeah, I think I may just play non-ranked and get victories, try to get them faster. Moving on, TechRaptor has an article. Pokemon Go Spring Event 2020 focuses on solo play next week, and apparently Togepi skins. If you're more interested in this, check out the TechRaptor article. I'm gonna go ahead and skip that since I don't play Pokemon Go. I'm not sure at what point it stops becoming relevant video game news and doesn't just become another hype article on a game as service that will just constantly have more content added to it. And let's see, now I'm just clicking on the remaining 10 games, most of which were left over from Friday. And I guess Friday was probably the Friday in which they let the adult games through on Steam. So we might have a couple of those. Here we have a game on Steam called Talvisota Winter War. It looks like it's a military, like Russian game, like military in a winter area, Eastern Bloc type area. It's free, and it's English only, so it's not really my type of game though, so I'm not gonna put on the follow list. Leisure Suit Larry's latest game, which wasn't hugely well received, was on sale, but I'm really not spending extra money at this point on games. It's just too risky. This game that came out on Steam is called In Zone or World Apart, and it looks to me like it is a real-time strategy game from the looks of it, and while it's mostly positive, it's teetering around 71% over its lifetime. And so there's something weird about the reviews too. All reviews are mostly positive. The Steam rating, what is that word? SteamDB rating is 71.73. So nobody's reviewed it recently. Let's see, this is $20.39 discounted. Bunch of languages. I don't really need reviews though to tell me I don't want to play this RTS. There's already several more important RTSs worth covering. But this Assemble anniversary sale, save up to 90% here, covers that game, 15% off. Here's Leisure Suit Larry Wet Dreams Don't Dry at $13.49, which is still probably a little too expensive. I got the bundle of all the other Leisure Suit Larry games, although it'd be kind of hard to cover all of them. And I'm not sure this includes, yeah, it does include the 2017 game. There is one that they took off from sale, and I don't think that one ever came back for sale because it was so bad. Pizza Creator Games, apparently, two of which I own somehow, and several other kind of not particularly good, not particularly worth covering games on sale, but that exists nonetheless, so we will report on it. Next we have Zombiercer, which is obviously a low effort survival game by the UI alone, with fighting zombies by the name. And yeah, it just looks like a asset flip game with maybe a little bit more polish in the environments. It's not just an empty forest or something like that, but nothing great here. Early access, $19.99 English. Next, we have a game called We Went Back, which looks like it is a horror game, and that's pretty much all I can tell, because I'm seeing no interface, no gun, no enemies, no puzzles, and it's rated positive, oddly. It's a time-looping horror game. Okay. It's free. They're saying it's similar to The Witness, and it's English only. I'm going to put this on the follow list. Interesting. As a free-to-play game, it's single player, doesn't have any in-app purchases, seems to take 30 to 50 minutes. That might be worth actually covering. Although, since it is a free game, you could probably just buy it and play it now if you're interested. Next we have Basketball Madness, which is a VR basketball game by the looks of it, which honestly I haven't seen too many of these, so this also might be worth putting on the follow list. It's $4.24 is particularly cheap. and it would require VR, which is particularly expensive. It is kind of odd we haven't seen other, like, basketball games, things like that. This next game is tagged sexual content and nudity, called Making Lovers. Let's see. I didn't check any of this, but let's just say it's $26.99. It's from a developer and a publisher I don't recognize. It's English full audio on Japanese. I'll put it on the fall list and we'll see what the reviews go. The art looks fairly good, although I'm a little cautious on clicking on too many screenshots because my fear is that I'll look at a thumbnail and misjudge what the thumbnail is showing. But yeah, art looks good. It's probably a visual novel, if I was to guess, although I'm not really seeing that. Here, let me just go over here and I'll see if I can report back. I'm seeing a lot of cutscenes with no dialogue or any kind of anything, so I assume it's a visual novel, but I don't know what else it would be other than that. But every screenshot, everything in the video, and the trailer. Alright, here's one. Here's an indication that it's a visual novel. I guess technically this should just go on the wish list because it already satisfies the follow list. That being said, again, since it's got adult content in it, if I was to get it, it's mostly just to support the video game industry, the adult video game industry, and adult video games existing in general. It'd be very, very hard for me to spend the time and energy to try and play that and then figure out some way to review it on YouTube. Next, we have a game on Steam called Gaia, which is mixed in reviews. It doesn't look terrible, but it looks maybe a little bit asset flippy and a little bit all over the place because we see guns, we see vehicles, we see swimming, we see animals. That feels a little too random. $29.99. English full audio with several other languages. Yeah, I don't think that there's a full product there with that price. Next, Big Fish Games has Reflections of Life Utopia Collector's Edition, another point and click hidden object game, selling for $12.59 as usual. Big Fish Games still doing their standard thing. Next we have a game called Tube-tastic World Splash Fest, which seems to be a tubing game, player versus player, kind of like a racing / Smash Brothers game. I don't know how much of a game or how interesting of a game this is. $4.79 discounted. English full audio. Yeah, there might be something to this, so I'll put it on the fall list. Wouldn't be surprised though if it really isn't anything too great. And I'm always weirded out by these green screen videos, but that sometimes means that they put some effort into it and actually tried to make something like a professional video and advertisement. Alright, and then next we have a game called Inner Eyes, which is rated positively just barely. It says it's an RPG action game that's difficult and it has nudity in it. I would say that there is a card game here, so it is not just a visual novel for that much, although it does seem like it does have some of that. And by the art style, I would kind of assume that this is either a low effort Japanese or a Chinese game. It does seem like it kind of is all over the place with 2 or 3 different gameplay methods. $8.99, and then full Chinese. Alright, well, I think I have to put it on the follow list because it doesn't look terrible. And at a certain point, my dislike of bad looking Chinese games can't expand to the point of just saying all Chinese games are not even worth considering. At a certain point, that's just developing a phobia, per se, instead of a critical eye and comparing content to the content that typically comes from a region and their peers typically create. Although I don't know if that's particularly even the best reason to. It's the best reason we have the Sword Art games. Like, you get a specific style, an obvious style. It is practical to say that Japanese games look a certain way and tend to be, on average, a certain quality that is often way better than the average Chinese game. Or Western games are, on average, way better than the average Chinese game. I mean, it's just a actual fact. And yeah, I'm kind of rambling at this point. Yeah. Next we have Tactical Three Kingdoms. Three Kingdoms Strategy and War. Anything with Three Kingdoms in the name. Again, a Chinese game. And it looks nicely animated, but it is a tactical game with a lot of other stuff, a lot of animations, a lot of menus being shown here. Early access, free to play, with in-app purchases, and a whole bunch of language support. Yep, nothing there that interests me. We've got 2 more games. And then next we have Yume Susu Re-Idol as a visual novel, which seems like it also has maybe some musical minigame in it. English is not supported for this one. It's 99 cents, Japanese only. I suspect at that price for a Japanese audience, this is going to be an incredibly short experience, and probably an advertisement for something else. And then the last game we have left over is a bunch of Japanese characters and Innocent Philae, which is rated very positively as a dating sim emotional visual novel. I am fairly certain I've heard about this one, and looking at this art style, there's just a lot going on in the background, a lot of detail, and so yep, this is a game that if it supported English, I would put it on the follow list. Unfortunately, it does not. It's $39.99, which is typical price for a top tier visual novel and Japanese full audio. Unfortunately, no English. So that kind of sucks, but maybe I'll get a translation. And with that, that brings me to the Humble Bundle, and I'm just going to have to briefly look at the Humble Bundle to see if there's any new bundles. Almost certainly there isn't. Yeah, no real bundles new, and then that's going to just bring me to my Twitter feed, and let's see if there's anything new to be mentioned. Saints Row the Third Remastered has been announced for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC, which pretty much means that they have no interest or desire to make you play Saints Row 1 or 2. So the relevancy of those previous predecessors basically falls off the cliff at that point, which is fine. UK government enlists game developers to push stay-at-home, save lives measuring. Let's see. See if there's anything else worth mentioning. Mafia 2 Definitive Edition and Mafia 3 Definitive Editions have been rated for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC in Taiwan. Doom 64 is the first game to run above 1080p on the Xbox One S. Apparently. And we'll see. Gematsu has an article. Final Fantasy VII Remake reviews went live earlier today. Find the review roundup on OpenCritic. We'll talk about that on Wednesday. It'll be interesting to see how many of those reviewers and reviews have played the entire game, or if they're just reviewing the first couple hours to get in as early as possible. Yeah, and that is that. So, yeah, TechRaptor has Explorer Shined Up Steelport in Saints Row the Third Remastered. So, apparently it's coming out on May 22nd. It would be almost a decent idea to play Saints Row the Third Remastered if I really had played any of the other games, but yeah, I don't think I would hop to playing it right now. Gematsu has the same article here talking about it and showing off, I guess, the trailer. It doesn't look terrible, but I wouldn't also say that it looks like the best game ever. And it apparently had 30 DLC elements. I did not realize that Saints Row the Third had that many bits of DLC, although they very possibly are very small bits of DLC, like costumes and such. Game of Sutra had the UK government enlists developers to push stay home, save lives messaging, which is kind of ridiculous considering how the UK government hasn't really been a friend to their own video game companies inside the UK or video game companies outside the UK at all. Also, the UK right now has their prime minister being tested in the hospital, so that's not good news either. Not good news probably for anybody. There was a game that came out on Steam called Gut Whale, which looks like it is a dungeon crawler of sorts where you have to quickly work your way downward, much like The Well. Let's see, $4.49, English only. I don't think that there's really anything here that looks polished enough to be interesting to me, though. It's not varied enough and not visually interesting enough. I would say The Binding of Isaac in particular is as close to a low animation roguelike game that I'd be willing to play. Anything that looks worse than Binding of Isaac Remastered is probably not something I'd be willing to play. So here's the OpenCritic reviews. Let's see, seems like they're giving it a mighty rating. 88 the top critics average an 88, and 93% of critics recommend it. Okay, so it seems like everybody's liking it. I'm not super surprised as far as Final Fantasy VII Remake is concerned. Alright, And so that's going to be it for this stream. Not probably a super long stream, but yeah, I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to play some games off screen to try to get up to 10 to 15 victories, and probably not going to do too much more. Maybe I'll get Curse of Monkey Island finished. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good